What's up, everybody? In this video, I want to talk about a couple of things that I see, or at least that I hear from people. What is standing between you and at least attempting to get sober? I see a lot of people, oftentimes, they come up with multiple reasons as to why they can't get sober. Whether I'm talking to them on the phone, if I'm talking to a loved one on the phone, or even in person, there's always a general consensus as to why they feel like they can't get sober, or at least make the attempt. It's frustrating from my perspective because I've done it. I've walked it. I've been through the journey. I know what it is like. And what I try to tell people is that just because you're in this mindset that you can't do it or that you've done everything that you think in the past doesn't mean that you shouldn't try again. Oftentimes, when we want to do something in life, we have to trudge through the hard times to get to where we want to go. I know it's like some philosophical, cliche that, you have to get through the uncomfortable to be comfortable. But with sobriety, it's no different. Getting sober for myself was one of the hardest things that I ever had to do. And fortunately, I was able to do it. And I've seen thousands at this point able to do it. And so I just want to discuss some things that I hear from people and some of the biggest setbacks, or not necessarily setbacks, but the mindset that they have that's preventing them from even trying to get sober. And the number one thing is just fear in general. I've never tried this before. I see people a lot that they're accustomed to using that drugs or alcohol. Maybe they have 5 years or 2 years or 10, 20 years of using substances. So they get in this mindset of, I've never done it before. I'm so used to having my drugs or my alcohol. And for that reason, I just don't think that I can do it. And there's this innate fear that is built inside of them that prevents them from even taking the steps. Myself, I spent many a days just trying to prove to myself and to others that I wasn't an alcoholic. And the way that I would do that is I would just not drink for a couple of days. And I would tell the people that were closest to me that knew I had an issue, look, an alcoholic, they can't stop drinking for 2 days. I just did. I stopped for 2 days. Therefore, I'm proving to you that I don't have a problem. But in reality, I knew I had a problem. I just didn't know how to stop it. A lot of times people want to be sober. And most addicts and alcoholics that genuinely feel like and recognize that they have a problem, they don't want to be the way that they are. They just don't know where to begin. And that again falls underneath the fear category because there's a lot of fear around that. Well, if I try this and it doesn't work, I failed again. Well, we have to switch that mindset, because if we have that mindset forever, we're just going to live this life of addiction and we're never going to get out of it. I've used for so long, it's just something that I know. It's something that I've done for a very long time, and I can't do it. That's the most frustrating part, because I know deep down inside that they don't want to be the way that they are, but they bought into this idea that that's the only way. Another big setback or a boundary that is in between somebody trying to get sober and actually getting sober is the resources. I hear it all the time. Well, I don't have health insurance, or I don't have the money to do this, or I don't have X, Y, and Z. I've met many people that have went from living underneath a bridge to getting sober, to getting jobs, to being a productive member of society, and they had nothing. Do I have the drive to want to do this? If I have the drive, I'm going to pull from that. I'm going to take that drive and I'm going to utilize it. Some people are fortunate. They have health insurance that has benefits, that they could go to a treatment center and spend 45, 60, 90, 120 days in a treatment center and do it that way. Other people, they don't have nothing, but they have internal drive. They have internal motivation, which allows them and gives them the resources to take the plunge to at least try this whole sobriety thing. Another big one is the social aspect of it. A lot of times people think if I remove the drugs or if I remove the alcohol, I'm not going to be fun to be around. All of my friends use, my family uses, or they drink. When I drink or use drugs, I'm this person that I want to be. Now, there's people that socially drink and socially use drugs. And listen, I don't throw stones at that. I think if you can do it successfully, more power to you. But there's those people that think that they can do it successfully and that it makes them this person, when in actuality it's destroying everything around them, including the relationships that they hold dear most. And if we hold on to that social aspect of it, that's a tough one to break through, because again, if we've used for any substantial periods of time, chances are our friends, our family, everything that we know and do revolves around drugs and alcohol. So we really have to shift that. When I got sober, and I keep referencing myself because again, I've gone through this process. When I went through this, I had to change the people that I hung around with. Now, I was fortunate enough to be able to go to a treatment center, and I was surrounded by people that weren't using drugs and alcohol. So organically, I changed the people that I hung around with. But as time went on, I had opportunities. I've been around people drinking. I've developed friendships with people that still drink. But I've built what I like to call recovery capital. I know going into these situations and the friends that I have, if they first off, the friends that I have today, they don't drink in the way that I drank when I was out there. So the social aspect for me now isn't a big deal because the bulk of my friends are sober. And if I do have some friends that do drink socially, but there's a friendship there and they're not alcoholics. They know that I'm sober, but two, they're not pushing it. They're not glamorizing it. They like to have a few glasses of wine at dinner. Go for it. Successful. They have the relationships. It hasn't affected their life in any way, shape, or form. And so, of course, I have those friends. But I also have friends that have been sober many, many, many years, that drank the way that I drank, and they did the things that I did. And I spend more time with those people than I do my friends that socially drink, and it's not because I think I need to spend more time with them. It's just the way that it works out. Another issue or another thing that stands between people getting sober and not getting sober is the actual withdrawal process. They feel, oh, I don't want to go through the withdrawals. And listen, you don't have a choice. Now, if you've been drinking for a few years and you got hemmed up in a DUI and you're a weekend warrior and you don't drink that often, the withdrawals isn't going to be a big deal, if any. Now, if you were like me, I drank every single day, and I drank a lot, and I used drugs on top of it. When I went through the withdrawal process, it was not something that was enjoyable, but I understood this isn't going to be enjoyable. This is just something that I'm going to have to get through. And I got through it. The withdrawals was probably, 7 to 10 days. It's many years ago, but I got through it. And you have to, there's no bypassing it. And a lot of times, you can, again, going to resources, you can go into a detox facility that's going to give you medications and stuff to make it better. But if you don't have the luxury of going to a detox center or a hospital or something, you're just going to have to get through it. Now, alcohol and benzos, meaning Xanax, Ativan, those types of drugs, anti-anxiety medications, alcohol and anti-anxiety medications, those two, going through the withdrawal process can be dangerous. So I'm not a doctor. You cannot take this as medical advice. But I do recommend seeking some sort of medical supervision through withdrawing from these substances, because they can kill you, and they have killed many a people. Again, though, it is really contingent on how long you've been using, what you've been using, how much you've been using, so on and so forth. And the last thing is just, again, it kind of goes back to this mindset of I just can't do it. And I challenge you that if you fall under this mindset of I can't do it, find people that have done it. Talk to people that have done it and stick close to them. It's probably not going to be this, I just wake up one day and I'm sober. It's going to take work. I don't expect you to get it on day one. If you do get it on day one, great. But again, this is something that is gradual and it takes time and it takes people to that we can surround ourselves with for support. But don't fall into the mindset of I can't do it. If you stay in that mindset, you will not get sober. You won't. Because you have to have it in your heart. You have to believe it in your head that I can do it. It's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging. But the reward is going to be great. And I'm going to have this life that I deserve. So those are just some of the things that I see when having conversations with people that stand between them and sobriety. I challenge you, don't put that much pressure on yourself. Understand that sobriety is worth having and you deserve it.